Parrish. Welcome back to the CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball Podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting, dodo birds, and leaky black. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you're watching on YouTube, you know what to do to that like button. Shouts to Brandon Davies. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the CBS Sports College Basketball YouTube channel, please also do that while you're here. Let's get into it today. We are continuing our Summer Shootaround series here on the Eye on College Basketball Podcast, and we're going to do it with me, and look at that, Norlander. It's going to be me and Norlander.
Look at the new guy.
Got together. How you been? How you been?
I've been good. Through a journey of guests, as you have as well. It's actually just the way the schedule broke. We have not done this in close to 3 weeks. It's been a minute, but I've been good, and I'm sure for many of our viewers and listeners, it's like an old warm blanket to see us back together. So don't get used to it too much. The next show is scheduled to have another guest, but then we're here together for most of the stretch of the offseason. But I've been good. I know you've been good. We've gotten our vacation time in, and check in here. It's still the depths of the offseason, so the summer shoot-around continues.
You ever hear about those married couples, and sometimes life just gets too busy, and the husband's working like nonstop, and maybe the wife is working nonstop, and everybody's running around with the kids, and it's soccer practice over here and basketball practice over there, and at some point somebody looks at the other person and says, "Hey, I don't think we're taking time for ourselves. We need to take some time for ourselves and maybe get away and spend some time together, some alone time." And I feel that that's what we're doing here.
What's going on right here?
Yes, we needed to get back together.
I
mean, I've been sitting around watching you talk to Mark Pope, CJ Moore. I was sure you're going to leave me for one of them 3-man weave guys. I didn't know which one exactly, but I thought for sure you're going to try to replace me.
You think I didn't notice the chemistry that you and Fanta were rocking? Okay. You think I didn't peer and leer through the curtain window as I saw Evan Miyakawa just hanging out with you in the dining room? You think I didn't see that?
It's tough to watch, isn't it?
No, it's all good.
I'm sitting there talking to Matt Painter, and you're like, he used to talk to me like this. Or it looks like he's listening to what Matt Painter says. I know he doesn't listen.
No, you were locked the hell in. That's for sure.
I was so locked in on Matt Painter.
So locked in on the Painter discussion. In all sincerity, we were asked to kind of spruce it up, and I think there have been some benefits, but I know our audience also appreciates when we're back together. So we appreciate that. It's just a quick little experiment. Most shows are still going to have me and GP. Don't worry. We're not changing up the formula on you. And look at us now. We're back talking about, John Calipari again and his Arkansas Razorbacks. Lay out what the people need to know about this team, GP.
All right. Before we look ahead, let's get a quick recap of last season. You know how much I like to do that. The Razorbacks went 22-14 last season, including 8-10 in the SEC, finished tied for 9th in the league standings, 7 games back of first place Auburn. They got a 10 seed in the NCAA tournament, upset Kansas, round of 64, upset St. John's, this was a big one, in the round of 32, then lost to Texas Tech. It was 85-83 in overtime in the Sweet 16. From that team, each of the top 3 scorers are gone, most notably Adu Thero. But DJ Wagner is back. So is Carter Knox. So is Trevin Brazile. Each of those guys started a double-digit number of games last season, and they'll be joined by what is described as the 4th-ranked recruiting class in the country, according to 24/7 Sports. That's among the reasons I got Arkansas ranked 20th in the top 25 and 1. We're going to see what Norlander thinks about that next. But first, let's go ahead and do it for old time's sake. Let's get a word from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Norlander, Arkansas is a top 20 team heading into the season. Do you love it or do you loathe it?
I think I like it.
I didn't hear Jim Root hit you with that question.
No, he did not. I think I like it. I'm going to pick door number 3 because the more I look at the roster, the more I think I love it. But I don't want to drift too far from what I think is going to wind up being Arkansas's reality. So, Hogs fans, come on in. Sit down. We got a lot to talk about here. And I know you're super excited about your team. And I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited about your team. But I wonder if this Arkansas team will find itself afflicted with some of the things that afflicted the team last year and some of the things that afflicted Calipari's teams in his final 3-4 seasons in Lexington. We'll keep it moving forward. But just as a quick, reminder, Arkansas was a bit adrift for the first 2 months and change last season. It was when they went into Kentucky and Cal won at UK, and that was February 1st, that the season really began to turn in a significant way. But you said it before. I mean, they finished 8-10 in the league. They were 14th in offensive efficiency in the SEC. They were 12th in three-point accuracy. They were 13th in offensive rebound percentage. In general, they were not an above average rebounding team. They were pedestrian as a shooting team. How much is that going to improve this year? I think it can. I think it probably will. But is Trevin Brazil going to make a big jump? DJ Wagner's offensive capabilities. We know that he can be a really, really good high level, probably their best. He'll probably be the best defensive player in the backcourt that they have. Kevin Knox, what will be his ceiling? How will he improve from a shooting perspective? They're bringing in some freshmen, and we'll run down the roster here in just a second. The good news is some new faces coming in can be good three-point shooters and can make an impact there. But I'm wondering how big the jump will be, and if you were relying on freshmen to be your primary perimeter contributors, how much of that is going to work? Overall, this incoming class, according to 247 Sports, is ranked 5th in the country. I could see Arkansas Parrish as having a ceiling as 8, 9, 10 in the country. I think that's probably the ceiling with this roster. And I could see their floor being similar to last year, 10 seed overall. I think the SEC will be a little bit worse. How could it not be? I mean, it was insane last year. So SEC could still rate as the best conference in the country, maybe not be quite as difficult this upcoming season. So I like your 20th ranking. They should be a top 25 team. There's a lot of talent that's still here. I'll leave it to you to run down the roster of who's here. But just as a reminder, Thero's gone. Boogie Flan, gone to Florida. Nelly Davis, college career's done. They lost Big Z. He goes to play with his brother at Illinois. And Jonas Adu is gone as well. So I do wonder about their ability to immediately click and hit big and have an impact. Or are you and I fated on this podcast to talk about this team a dozen times this season about, good win. Man, lost 3 or 4. That kind of stuff. Can they avoid the pitfalls? I kind of think they won't. I think they're going to be due for a couple of down spells here. But even with all of that, I do like a lot of what is on the roster. And considering everything they left, everyone they left, GP, I still think they've got enough to be an impactful team in the SEC. But I do not think this will be a top 3 team in that league.
I technically don't either. I mean, if you look at the top 25 and 1, I would have them finishing 5th in the SEC behind Florida, Kentucky, Alabama, and Auburn. At Torvik, they are 16th in the country. Behind in the SEC, only Florida, Tennessee, and Kentucky. So at least relative to that algorithm, I'm a little low, but top 20-ish seems in the proper range. And I guess I would hesitate to call them a national championship contender, although I would never put that ceiling on them because, 2 years ago, I would have probably hesitated in the preseason to call, or 3 years ago, rather, to call UConn a national championship contender. But, they won it, and then they won another one. We're wrong about this stuff sometimes. But if you made me, put money on it, do I think we will spend March talking about Arkansas as one of the 5 or 6 teams in the country that can win 6 games in the bracket and cut nets in Indianapolis? No, I'd be surprised. But I'm not ruling it out because though this isn't anything close to one of his great Kentucky rosters, the backcourt is ridiculously talented. I mean, when I just go through a 4-guard rotation, however you want to do it, of Darius Acuff, DJ Wagner, Carter Knox, and Malik Thomas, that's pretty strong. Darius is a projected top 10 pick, one-and-done player. In Cal Boone's latest mock draft, he's got him going 7th overall. Carter Knox is also a projected first-round draft pick. DJ Wagner's a third-year college player who hasn't lived up to the hype that was attached to him entering college based on where he was ranked, based on his last name. But he's still a 6'4", double-digit scorer, third year of college, who was a former 5-star prospect. And then Malik Thomas is a first-year five-star prospect who, if he comes off the bench, and that's how I would assume he's going to start his college career, is the type of prospect who is capable to come in and, score 8 of 14 for you pretty quickly. Like,
Sure.
he's a dynamic, guy scorer in that backcourt. Like, that's pretty talented. I don't know where it ranks among, tell me the best four-guard combinations in college basketball. You probably need to have a conversation about Purdue near the top of that list. But Arkansas's got some of the best guards in the country. And even if it is a little up and down for them, I don't think it'll be as up and down as last season was, because it was down for a while. I don't think they're going to do that again. At least I'd be surprised if they go through that again. Questions in the front court, I guess. But the difference between this team and last season's team, there's more roster continuity. Almost by definition, there had to be. But there's more roster continuity. And, Boogie Flan did miss a lot of time last season. Hopefully, for Arkansas's sake at least, that's not their reality this time around.
Arkansas had a spell last season where it dropped 5 in a row. Anything's possible. Hard for me to figure this team will lose 5 straight games, and it really lost 6 or 7 at one point. Could I see it, as I mentioned before, like, dropping 3 or 4? Yeah, of course. I mean, given the SEC schedule, like, that's certainly going to be something that's on the table there. A lot of talent, and how, like, Acuff is going to start at point guard as a freshman right away. And then Wagner, who played some lead guard last season, like, he'll play more off ball, but how those two play with each other, I agree. Thomas will come off the bench. You've also got Billy Richmond, who is not a perimeter oriented wing, but he's a wing. And he really had some nice moments toward the end of last season as well. So he comes back. The continuity, I think, is major. That you hitting on, this is why I think Arkansas needs to be considered strongly in the top 20 conversation, is because Calipari has been benefited with having back 4 players who made significant contributions. And I was there in Providence. I saw them, upset St. John's, and it was statistically the worst 3-point shooting performance by 2 teams collectively in one NCAA tournament game ever. There had never been a game where 2 teams shot more and missed more 3-pointers than Arkansas's win over St. John's. And in some ways, how Arkansas won that game was, a lot of it was poetic, and we talked about that when it happened in the moment. But Brazil, Knox, Wagner, Richmond, you get those guys back to pair with, a couple of really, really talented freshmen. They've got a couple of foreign-born players that are coming in. There's a wing named Isaiah Seeley, who's like a top 120 guy. He's outside the top 100 at 247. I don't know how much burn he'll get or not. This feels like it'll be, knowing Cal, I would think this will be like an 8-man rotation. The transfers are Malik Ewan from Florida State, who averaged 14 points a game last year, but, did so in obscurity. And then Nick Pringle, who's just taken the SEC tour. He just is. He was at South Carolina, Bama before that. And here he comes on over to Arkansas. But both those guys don't take threes. I mean, Pringle is going to be in his 5th season of college, and he is 0 for 4 in his career from beyond the arc. He's 6'10". Malik Ewan, 6'11", doesn't take him. Are we going to have this issue again with Arkansas and its lack of 3-point accuracy and aggressiveness? And if that's the case, how do they overcome it? Again, the rebounding is going to be massive. Maybe those 2 transfers I just mentioned can help them overcome it. I think this is going to be, I really didn't want to settle on this take, Parrish, but I am here right now, and I'm going to be here until the season starts. And then let's get, a month in the season, and I'll change my tune. I think that there are going to be hallmarks of this Arkansas team that are going to remind people, for good and for frustration, a lot of previous Cal teams. A lot of talent, some plays and some stretches and games that make you go, man, this is just one of the most entertaining teams to watch in the sport. And then there will be stretches and games, and there will be defeats where you're like, they had just little business losing that game. Like, what are they doing out there? I think it will lead to that, in part because I need to see the proven perimeter attack. Given the coaching in that league, wait till we get to the schedule. Oh, by the way, the teams that they are playing, they are going to need to have some real dynamism in their offense. And maybe Acuff comes in. Maybe he comes. We are having an awesome freshman class, Parrish. Maybe he does come in and is one of the 3 or 4 best freshmen in the country. But if that's the case, he is going to be phenomenal. And if he can be that way, then yeah, that'll change some things about what I think about Arkansas. But Cal distributing, responsibilities with all of his guys there. It's an intriguing mix. I have a lot of fascination with how this is going to go. I think it's going to be a good team, but I do think it's going to be a team that leaves us just a bit frustrated because it's going to leave a few things out there on the table. It's going to take a few losses that it probably shouldn't. That's just my projection for now.
Let me get your thoughts on this, because I think you and I agree, talented roster. But not the most talented roster.
No.
Not the most talented roster John's ever had. Not the most talented roster Arkansas's ever had. Not like the rosters he used to consistently have at Kentucky. We got into a habit when John was at UK. We could debate the quality of the team, but the amount of talent on the roster was usually inarguable. It was like, that is the best roster in the country, or one of the 2 or 3 best rosters in the country. We said it in 2010 with John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, 2012 with Anthony Davis, 2015 with Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns. I don't have it all in front of me, but I'm confident there are way more years than that, or at least additional years, where you looked at UK's roster under John Calipari and you said, that's the best roster in the country. I don't know what it'll do from a win-loss perspective, but that's the best roster in the country. For 2 straight years at Arkansas, you haven't been able to say that, or even like suggest it. They do have the 4th-ranked freshman class in the country, according to 24/7 Sports, but only one top 10 prospect from the class is enrolled at Arkansas. Last year, 0 top 10 prospects in the class of 2024 enrolled at Arkansas. That means over a 2-year period, they enrolled only 1 top 10 high school prospect. And though there are years at Kentucky, I went and looked, where they did enroll just 1 top 10 prospect in a class. You're not going to find too many examples where it's 2 years in a row, only 1. Combine the 2 years, pick them. 2010, 11, 14, 15, you pick them. Only 1 top 10 prospect in that 2-year window. But that is the reality so far at Arkansas. They also didn't kill it in the transfer portal the way, say, St. John's did, Louisville did, some other schools have. Has anything changed? Listen, it's still a good roster. It's still got multiple projected first-round picks. I still have it ranked top 20 in the country. But has anything about John Calipari's recruiting, or his ability to recruit at the tip top of the sport, has any of that changed? Obviously, things have changed. NIL, revenue sharing, transfer portal, transfer waivers. I got that. Yeah. But we went about a decade plus where it was, you could reasonably assume without knowing anything, that guy's going to have one of the most talented rosters in the country, if not the most talented. And it's just not true right now. And oh, by the way, this is maybe something close to similar. Bill Self in Kansas, they're going through a similar, Kansas does not have one of the best rosters in the country right now. And, for a long time, you assumed that they would.
Yeah. Although coming off that Kansas Shootaround episode, if you haven't listened yet, please go do that. CJ Moore offered some great insight there. I have talked myself into Kansas more than I thought I would. Sometimes that's just a virtue of doing these shows. Okay. So good tee up, good thought experiment. Couple thoughts. One, yes, the very nature of how rosters are built now, it's not what was there from 2009 to 2021 with Calipari. Obviously, he's also not at a program with as much prestige.
Right.
So those are 2 factors, and then also that the collective talent that he's assembling has dropped off a little. Because I would still say Acuff, Thomas is 13th in the country in this class. Wagner, Knox, Richmond. I would still say talent-wise, this is a off the top of my head, I still feel talent-wise, this is definitely a top 12-ish, 15 at worst roster. But for Calipari, more years than not, talent-wise, he was top 3. Now, he's in the winter of his career. So to have that run and then to lose it a little bit, there's also, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but for our listeners, it's not a knock on him. The fact that he even did it as long as he did
is incredible.
It's insane. So there's also there's some of that as well.
Sure.
I get all of that. And I think it's like 2 things happening at once. The distribution of money in college basketball has led to situations where just certain players are going certain places that just wouldn't have happened 5 years ago. That's just an undeniable fact. But at the same time, I'm very confident in saying that over the past 2 years combined, if you took this year's portal cycle bank account, the amount of money that Arkansas could spend, and last year and combined it, Arkansas would rank in the top 5, unquestionably, in the sport in how much money they were putting out there for players to go and play for them. So Calipari theoretically still had the money to justify bringing in what would be a top 5 roster talent-wise. It just hasn't equated to that. I think some of that's forces at play there. I still think there's enough here that he hasn't lost his fastball, but it is what you're bringing up is definitely true, that it's not at the level that it used to be. And a lot of forces have led to that. Not at Kentucky, more people paying for more players all around the sport. You're going to lose a guy here there that you wouldn't have otherwise lost. And some of the lack of success in his final few years, I think, also has just, slight impacts on the edges. Maybe you'd have gotten one other, if Cal was killing at Kentucky and didn't have to leave, I think he'd still have a pretty damn strong roster there. So I think all of that factors in.
Yeah, to be clear, we are only discussing this relative to the insane bar that he himself set. Yes. Right? He's being judged against himself.
Right.
And the best version.
Greatest. I want to be clear about this. He is the greatest recruiter in the history of college basketball. He is the greatest. I don't think it's arguable, frankly. There have been other really, really good ones. On the whole, John Calipari is the greatest recruiter in the history of the sport.
So, and I'll co-sign that. And so this feels a little bit like sitting around going, I don't know what year it would have been, just play along. And you're going, man, remember when Tiger Woods used to win every 3rd tournament he was in? Now he only wins every 5th tournament he was in. What's going on there? And you're like, well, it's still kind of like that pretty amazing.
Tiger Woods, though, won the tournament.
Yeah, but you get the point. You get the point. Yeah. We are it's still one of the 10 to 15 to 20 best rosters in America. It's just, I just sort of looking at it, noticed it doesn't quite pop the way I would argue most if his Kentucky rosters popped over the years, and take it for whatever it's worth. You want to run us through the schedule?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so this has not been officially announced yet. And hold on, you know what I gotta do? I gotta just get a little bit of a music background for the schedule here. Oh, that's what I like to hear. Okay, 5 big non-con games. Now, what's interesting is the SEC is an 18-game league schedule. So if I gotta think Arkansas's got a 6th notable non-con game lingering out there. But if it's out there, it's not been determined, hasn't been released, hasn't been leaked, hasn't been reported, none of it. That said, you ready for this? Trivia time.
Okay, let's go.
Auburn, Michigan State,
yes,
Florida,
sure,
Texas Tech, Duke, Alabama, Houston, Tennessee. I'm going to say that one more time faster. Auburn, Michigan State, Florida, Texas Tech, Duke, Alabama, Houston, Tennessee. What 2 things do those 8 teams have in common?
They all have coaches.
What 3 things do those 8 teams have in common?
They all have coaches and point guards. Argue against that. Argue against what I just said.
Number 1, I won't. Number 2, they were all in the Elite 8 last tournament. All of them.
That? Good for them.
Number 3, every single one of those teams, Auburn, Michigan State, Florida, Texas Tech, Duke, Bama, Houston, Tennessee, is on Arkansas' schedule this season. I don't know if this has ever happened in the history of college basketball, where you not only have every team coming off an Elite 8 that you will play, those are all going to be preseason top 25 teams. This really might be a first. So I say that to say, if they only have 5 and the 5 games are just outrageous, then that would be understandable. But typically now you see high major coaches trying to get at least normally 6 notable non-con games, and the rest are buys. Right now I've got 5 with Arkansas. Here's the order. November 8th at Michigan State. So that's a 2-year series. They'll return to Fayetteville next year, but this year it's November 8th. First weekend of the season, going against Tom Izzo. November 27th, Thanksgiving, against Duke in Chicago, CBS. We love it. Then December 3rd, they host Louisville. December 13th, against Texas Tech in Dallas. And then December 20th, against Houston in Barclays. So, yes, if you're keeping track, I don't know why Calipari is a masochist. He scheduled Oakland last year after having Greg Kampe and Jack Golke end his Kentucky career, but that went okay for him. They won by 30. Arkansas gagged away the Sweet 16 game against Texas Tech in overtime. Should have won the game. lost it. And he said, yeah, what the hell? Let's go play Texas Tech in their home state a year later when they're going to have maybe the preseason player of the year. I'm wowed by Calipari. He's not afraid. More power to you, Cal. But those are the 5 biggies. Michigan State on the road, Duke in Chicago, Louisville at home, Texas Tech in Dallas, and then Houston might be the preseason number 1. Play them December 20th in Barclays. Here's your SEC schedule. 2 plays. Auburn, LSU, Missouri. Those are home and away. Only home. Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Vandy. Road only. Bama, Tuffy, Florida, Tuffy, Georgia, Ole Miss, could be tricky, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. So, how many wins for the Arkansas Razorbacks, which you have 20th heading into the season? That's as strong of a 5-game slate as you're going to find, I think, in terms of opponent. I don't know what the hell you're going to say on this number. You could tell me 6 different ways that you go with this, and I believe it. So, what's your number?
All right, I count backwards. You know how I can. You know how I do this.
Not only that, I informed guests on the show. I called it the Parrish method. So, yes.
You guys just count backwards. So, what number am I working with? 31 or 32?
Yeah, 31. 31 for this season. It'll be 32 when we do this a year from now.
Okay, I'm working for 31. I'm going to give them 4 non-league losses. The Texas Tech game in Dallas, Houston, Michigan State, and Duke. So just to reset, if we don't have a 6 notable game, Parrish has Arkansas entering the SEC slate with 1 good win overall. That's where we're at.
So we set the so if that happens, a lot of what we talked about at the beginning of this episode will have come to fruition, in my opinion.
I got them losing 4. All right. Then in the league, it's 18-game league schedule. I've got them projected to finish 5th.
That's right.
I'm going to go 12-6 in the SEC. I'm going to have 10 losses going into the SEC tournament. I'm 21-10 in the regular season, Norlander.
Can they be a 21-10 team and be top 20 in the country? That's the question.
I think so. With the right losses.
I agree with you, and this is the 3rd consecutive shoot-around that I have agreed with the exact number. I have Arkansas at 21-10 heading into the SEC tournament. Arkansas, if you're curious, was 19-12 last season. So this is a 2-game improvement, which I think is completely reasonable for Calipari's team. Arkansas fans, I give you 21-10, or do you chance it and go and take it up? I think
they hate this, and they're throwing Tyson chicken nuggets at us. They hate this, and they're throwing frozen chicken nuggets in our direction.
They're going to chance it. I would understand if you want to chance it. I think Arkansas's variance of all of our shoot-around episodes, Arkansas's top 3 in team variance. I do genuinely believe what I said earlier on the show. I think this team could have a ceiling of 8, 9, 10 in the country. I do. If it all comes together, if Acuff is brilliant, if Wagner jumps, if Brazil gives us, if he, I guess he's put on a little bit of bulk in the offseason. If he can have that perimeter jumper back, like all of it comes together, yeah, then look the hell out. I think Arkansas's got a real chance, but we cannot put out of the realm of possibility that we have another one of these seasons where it's just up and down, up and down, up and down. We'll split the difference. You and I agree. A 21-win team going into the SEC tournament in year 2 for Cal at Arkansas, and this is his 34th year overall in coaching, head coach.
Also worth noting, because I'm assuming we have an Arkansas audience here. It's an exhibition, so not part of the schedule, but John is going to bring the Razorbacks to Memphis, to FedEx Forum in October on a Tuesday night. The date's going to be October 28th. It hasn't been publicly, officially announced yet, but that's the date. October 28th inside FedEx Forum. And that will be the type of thing, I imagine, you see on SportsCenter that night.
Yeah, man, I wish it was a game. I'm not going to get too picky. I just wish it was a regular season game. That's all. It's going to be an awesome thing. I just wish it was November 7th, November 17th. That's all.
I do too. But I guess you take what you can get. And it's going to be designed to raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which John has worked with in a variety of ways for decades. John still has real friends and real connections and spends real time in Memphis. I know that Memphians were hurt when he left, and those feelings were intense for a while. And in some places they still are. But broadly speaking, like, people are ready to move on and celebrate what was the best era of Tiger basketball in history. And I talked to John about it very briefly at Peach Jam. And like, I was just like, how you feel about it? And he feels good. Like, he's comfortable. And I don't know that he would have been comfortable 3 years ago or 10 years ago, but he's comfortable now. And they have, the University of Memphis, extended invitations to literally every player who ever played for John at Memphis. And they are offering to fly them back if they need to fly back, put them up if they need to put them up. But John, one of his conditions on this was, don't just make it about me. Like, I want everybody back. And that could mean, everybody from Derrick Rose to the walk-on from the 2002 team. And so it should be like a neat night where hopefully that building was filled up for years. And, 18,000 people adored that man. He was a god in that city. And obviously when he left, it went another direction. But hopefully all that can be put to a side. That'll be a special night, not just for John and the former players, but honestly, like, for John's family. Like, his daughters grew up here. And Aaron went to White Station High School. Like, this is their home on some level, and they haven't been comfortable here for a long time. And hopefully that changes on October 28th. So that'll be a neat night for Arkansas fans, for Memphis fans, and for John specifically.
Yeah, that's really cool. Also, good little scoop from you there. I don't have it up in front of me, but I believe that also John has entered into like a multi-year, 4-year agreement with Central Arkansas, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
so I like stuff like that.
That's good on him. I can check myself in real time here. But I'm almost positive I saw that. Normally we just mention the high majors because it's just the most notable games. But when you've got a situation where you have schools that are willing to play mid majors in state, I think that's an amazing thing. And yeah, I'm almost positive someone told me about this. I don't know if this has been reported yet, but I thought that it was Central. I think it was Central Arkansas in state that they're, Kansas doesn't play Wichita State. And you can go down the road. There's plenty of these and on a lot of levels, they're understandable, but man, for those communities, when you can have the way that it purely from a scheduling standpoint, the way that it was way more often than not from the 1940s until the 1990s, when a lot of this stuff, tended to change for obvious reasons. It's good to see there. And give it to Cal. There's some ambitious creative scheduling. This is reckless speculation by me. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I don't know this or not, but having 5 games, I just wonder, he scheduled that 6-game series with Gonzaga. Gonzaga hasn't released a schedule. I just wonder if he's working on something with Few or not. He might not be. He might not, but Cal and Mark Few are very, very close.
Yes.
We conspicuously only have 5 games yet. So I wonder if there will be a 6th, if it will be Gonzaga, and if not this year, at the year after that. But anyway, that's just harmless speculation.
I understand when coaches don't want to take their big brands to smaller brands within the state. Like, I get it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. But I always appreciate when the coaches will do it. Roy Williams would do it every once in a while at North Carolina. Like, you just see the Tar Heels playing in a building and you're like, what are they doing there? And sometimes it would be to take a senior home or something like that. But he wasn't scared to take his brand into places other people might not take his brand. I was on the sideline a few years ago at James Madison when Tony Bennett took Virginia to James Madison. Like, and like, you can tell what that means. Like, the people who were in the building that night, I don't even remember much about the game other than James Madison won. But like, the people who were in that building, they'll never forget that. Remember the night Virginia came here, Tony Bennett, and knocked them.
Crean did this with IPFW. Remember? And Indiana lost. But yeah, sometimes it can go that way for you. But man, it's an all-time memory.
It's just a cool thing to do. I know John Shire subscribes to this at Duke. I think Tommy Lloyd, some of the newer coaches at Arizona, Tommy at Arizona, I think some of the newer coaches who have taken over some of our sports best brands actually understand, not that it's their obligation or duty, but that there's something to be gained by taking your big brand into places it maybe has never been or otherwise wouldn't go. And so I'm glad you brought this up. I hope that it's true.
I know. Someone can pass it along to me. If it's not, whatever. If
it's not, whatever. I can
the
point stands regardless. I'm always happy to talk about examples like this because I'm a believer in giving credit where credit's due. And when you could make a difference on somebody else's campus and create real memories for people by just doing nothing other than agreeing to play a basketball game in a certain place when you're in control of a brand like, yes, Duke, Arkansas, Arizona, so on and so forth. And if John is doing that in this case, then
they definitely play this upcoming season, November 11th. They host Arkansas. So at bare minimum, they've got that game happening, which is good stuff. I think, you know what? I think that's a show.
All right, let's get done with it then. Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Shouts to Terry Teagle. He's a legend. Huck Larnell. Thank you guys once again for watching, listening to the Eye on College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, Apple, Spotify. More of us than there are of them. That should be reflected in the comments. Do it, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Till then, take care.